Hello YouTube, Infinite Magicraid community, Gandalf here. As we head into November and the end of the year draws near, we saw very exciting dev notes hinting that the mid of the month will have a brand new faction, guild bosses, new equipment aura, and free legendary heroes. But is that enough to keep the players interested and get the game back into growth mode? I am Gandalf and I'm here to be your guide to mastery in Infinite Magicraid. In this video, we will explore the current state of the game, as well as see what the future beholds. Before we get started, I do want to give a quick shout out to both Valhalla. As many of you know, it is double legendary event. This was a great week to get started on a brand new account or entering the game where you have very decent banner and you have double legendary up. For server 126, if you want to join the great Bowls community with a lot of support, Bowls Valhalla is a great pick, and the information is on the screen. Now let's get into the main part of the game. Many of you who were around in October, you probably saw the Gloria battle dropped. This was a unique piece of content where they borrowed and mishmashed different concepts together. And overall, it had mixed reviews. I think one thing coming out of it is recognizing that the player strength between a newer player who are relatively big whales can actually compete against some of the end game players who've been around for 1 to 2 years that are maybe low spenders or free to play, which is very, very hopeful in my mind, because what that says to me is that the players, you can catch up relatively easily in this game. The amount of power creep, even if you're a relatively low spender or free to play, some of the power creep that we see in the heroes, they're very meta defining. Another big drop, of course, is Giselle, and we see the number of Giselles even at E3 at some of the this is my server 108 account, so it's a very relatively new server. It's less than 5 months old, and you can see players with a team like this, right? Demifiend, having four limited heroes in here plus Lance. This is pretty much what you will find in endgame meta. Maybe with the exception of taking out Big Jacking here. But you see this on servers that are 4 to 5 months old, which speaks to the accessibility of all the heroes for people who are willing to spend. Creates a little bit of headache for free to plays, I totally agree, which is kind of true in the current state of game. And I do feel like, when we go into the dev notes, it will change things like that a little bit. But you do see this team, multiple, maybe not at the same exclusive, but it's pretty consistent across the board. And that's one of the things they're actually hoping to change. Because what we've been really seeing in the last 6 months really is a new hero come out, it's really strong, and it's meta-defining. It ends up shifting up all the teams in Classic Arena, in Advanced Arena, and then into the Championship. Here's a great example where Natako, right? Look at his power, right? He's in our guild, server 113, only 22k, while against someone who is a massive whale, right? This is end game, near end game level power, huge spender, right? Started 3 weeks before him, but he managed to win him in championship. And the main difference is because Natako got a Giselle E3, which is the latest limited hero, while Balan didn't invest into him. You can see Balan pretty much have all the limited hero already bought. This looks very close to like what endgame players have, like that are been playing for like 2 years plus. But you can catch up. In a way, it's really good for new players. For older players, it devalues the investment they have put into the game. So that's, as I mentioned in many videos before, that is a very difficult part for games to manage. Overall, when we start looking at where the game is trending, and here on the screen, you see me putting a chart from Google Trends. What you will see is the game overall did see a little bit of a dip, but it's nothing like what people may have said in chat or have said in world chat um, about where this game is going. It's really the interest has been stabilized. In fact, the the growth region mostly has been in the Russia region as well as in Asia, where there has been an increasing number of unique devices that are adding to the game. So there is growing interest in different parts of the world. Um, Now, when it comes to player feedback, I've also heard from people saying that the devs haven't exactly listened to us the way they have listened to us before. For example, last month we finally got the breakthrough hero regression possible. So breakthrough, here's the breakthrough, but all these material that are used to level up um, are not gained back from the regression. You could regress it, it's just you will lose all that material. In some way, I feel like that is kind of aligned with a lot of other gotcha games, or kind of these kind of games where yeah, there is a little bit of penalty when it comes to bringing a hero back to base level to move the resource somewhere else. Overall, I think people are just very used to how generous the regression system has been, especially early game when you're given a lot of regression for free. They haven't been giving away regression potions as often as they used to before. Now I think it's every 7 days. It used to be 30 days when you can buy this. So, and gems is really abundant in this game. Like they're giving away codes. Like just right now, I think there's like 3 codes that are active that are giving you 1,000. So that's 3,000 free gems right there, based on active available codes. So resources for free to play is definitely not an issue. Other things we've been talking about is should some of the newer limited heroes be added to and their echoes be added to the beginner wish summon. And there are no plans to do that. And coming to think of it, I mean, the pool of heroes that are available from there, a lot of the older limited are still very strong. So being part of a decently priced cheap pack as entry is still somewhat reasonable. Now, before people start, putting in the comments saying that I'm sucking up to the devs again, I'm not. I'm being very honest with you in terms of how companies work. It's for a profit company, and when companies make decisions, they look at empirical data on where the game is going, right? Just as I've mentioned, overall growth and interest in the game has been stable, and revenue-wise, they've been having very consistent revenue. You can see that every time we have the consumer spending event now, we consistently get around anywhere between 10 to 13, 14 players that hit the 2,000 mark per week in terms of the spending, which is a relatively large amount for the size of a game like this. So again, I want to be super careful with what I say. So when we look at the game from in terms of current state, from these metrics perspective and the level of engagement, it's actually not that bad. So now let's take a look at what's happening in November and see how that potentially will change up this overall landscape. All right, let's take a look at the dev notes now. The brand new faction comes mid-month. If we're counting the timing right, we're having the regular banner right now. So next month we'll have a brand new hero, and this should show up on a full regular banner with 5 heroes, all from the new faction, which is really important to know because that means you really want to be making sure that you're not throwing away all of your regular excellent summons and supreme runes, because this is probably your best opportunity to grab some of the newer heroes on that particular banner. The other part I think is very promising is this resonance system. If you look in the infographic here, you're going to be gaining resonance point that kind of shows up on the top of the screen here a little bit. Now, as the resonance point get to a threshold, then they will get buffs and skills will be enhanced. This is not only available to the Unruly Outlaws, but other heroes from other factions or potentially pairs will also get this capability. So this is very promising. I'm not sure if this is going to be just for future heroes that are released from other factions, or it's going to be an opportunity to really rework a lot of the older heroes and make them relevant again. Because nobody likes to play a gacha game where you still got maybe 30 or 40 of them when you summon them, and they're kind of like a dead pull, and they're basically forever going to sit in your inventory and you can't use them. Hopefully these resonance points allow maybe heroes of the same faction could, if they will get better synergies. What I would really like to see is how this drastically change up fundamentally how we think about team building. Because today, every time a new hero releases, you see the exact same team across. Yes, that's exactly how, most effective teams work, but I do hope that teams get comparable enough, or this opens opportunity to better highlight strength of certain teams and weakness, and creates weaknesses in these teams where you have a better interactive meta. At some point, we did have a very fine balance in the game where you would, the tankiest teams will still fall to burst, but then these burst teams will always fall to a control-based team and vice versa. I do hope that comes back in the game a little bit, because in the last 2-3 months, things have gotten really tanky, and it's really much a wall to fight in a lot of the teams. As we look below, we do expect new campaign stages, which means we'll get more gems. If people are curious and interested in the story, I guess it looks like there's going to be cool cinematics. From a gear aura perspective, it feels like there is a greater focus now on the defensive side of things, because we do know there are heroes that need, for example, defensive mastery, and I hope one of these sets provide that. This looks like a speed and a shield, so I'm guessing combination of speed and defense, because we see, speed. Fast killing set sounds like speed and attack. So maybe we'll see more things that, synergizes well with that, because we do have a lot of spare speed sets waiting to be combined. And I think this allows us to see more combination sets, especially for the, I think this is going to be in particularly liked by older players in the game, where pretty much there's an overabundance of standard gear and they want to really optimize and start crafting and forging at this point in the game. And it's nice to see more defensive focused auras, as today we really don't have too many auras focused on the defensive side of things. Finally, I want to take a quick look at the guild boss that's coming. This is going to be a guild boss that's not based on individual battle. It seems like it's a combined fight with your entire guild, all attacking this boss at the same time, perhaps lowering the health down together, and the achievement reward for a shield supporter will be rewarded based on the progression in this particular guild boss. I really hope you can get all the way to exclusive 5 with this particular hero, but even if it's just one copy of it and be able to eye it up, it'll be really nice. Now, I hope it's not behind some ridiculous number that only some of the top guilds will be able to do, but then that perhaps creates an opportunity where maybe people will be able to join some of these guilds, get the reward, then leave the guild. So I know, because there's quite a few large community guilds out there, and perhaps this will help some of the newer players, because if you think about it, we really remove the limitation for newer heroes to join really old guild. So if you're part of one of the really big communities, maybe you can rotate and take turns in the main guild to get this to get this reward. So that's really cool that a guild content is unlocking a hero. So hopefully, as you look at what the dev notes bring, I hope it delivers on the promises that are shown on this infographic here. I want to see more guild-related content where it really brings the community back together. I want to see more diversity in the game in terms of guilds as well. Right now, it's really been just, a bitter rivalry between the two biggest guilds right now. And the Glory for Battle was a great opportunity to actually see a lot more other guild names show up on the list, which was very exciting for me, because again, the more different communities and factions we have from a player base, I think it just gets the competitive scene a lot more interesting than to see the same two names over and over again. Then over here, the combat mechanic system change, perhaps that will bring more diversity to the teams that we see and bring some of the older heroes into the scene once again, because right now things are getting a little bit stale, and hopefully this will give us enough of a balance where the strength of certain heroes could really make certain teams really strong, but open a weakness for them to be beaten by other teams, which will then make the meta a lot more diverse and interesting than the way it's right now. Because really, the only diversity we see right now is in the fives meta, and even that is getting a little stale. All right, I hope you enjoyed this update, and I'm really looking forward to creating more content for you as all of these things get added to the game. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Gandalf out.